My absolute favorite moment is really when, you know, the event or the show is happening and there's that great synchronistic moment where everything is absolutely happening in the way that it should, you know, and the timing is just perfect. Even if it's a very minor thing and no one else will realize it, you just go, everything is just acting like a big symphony.
My favorite moment is when I'm meeting a new client and we click. It's very much like what Cartier-Bresson described as the decisive moment in taking a picture. And that's when I know I'm the best caterer and event planner for them, and they know that they're in great hands with me.
My favorite moment of the event process is to arrive on site and change everything that I had planned up to that moment.
My favorite moment of the event process is probably the very beginning and the very end. I love that wonderful brainstorming stage with the clients and with our staff. I mean, I love that some of our best ideas have come from our interns in the past. And then I love, on the flip side, when the event is finally over, that sort of exhale that you get when you've had a great event.
My favorite moment is definitely the logistics. I love just creating, organizing, putting everything together, making sure everything kind of coincides, and just providing that perfect experience for our clients, I think is by far, and then seeing it all come together, is the logistics part is unreal.
It's the time at which I can take a deep breath and realize I've done the best that I can do, and that things are just going to unfold, and I know we'll be successful the way that we've planned it. So I think it's kind of a relaxing time for me, just to say, let's let it go.
I love the planning and the creativity that goes into an event, but for me, I'm never really completely happy until it's happened. The guests are really happy, the host is really happy, the planners are really happy, and you sort of feel that vibe and that excitement of a great party, and then I can kind of like rest assured and feel like, okay, that was a success.
Definitely, it's watching the production come alive and see the visual aspects of what people are thinking.
I would say two. The first is when the room is finished and the event, you know, is about to start, and I can really see the aesthetic vision pull together. And it's everything I imagined it to be, you know, because you have all these ideas and then you have renderings and drawings and things, but to see it actually in person be as good as you thought is amazing. And then I would say the day after, if a client calls and tells you how successful they thought it was and how thrilled they were, they both feel pretty good.
You know, I love a couple of different times of the event process. The first is when we have the magic idea. And it's hard to come up with the magic idea. So when we actually have that magic idea and the client embraces the magic idea, that's the special part for me. Then the journey to actually execute that one moment where the lights are set and the guests walk in and all of that stuff has come together, that's also a special time for me.
When the last guest has been served. When the last guest has been served. No, but really my favorite moment is when the client comes in and they're so pleased and the expression on their face and they're very happy. You know, I like making people happy. That's one reason that I love doing what I do. And just that moment alone, you know, just stamps that all of my hard work and time was well worth it.
My favorite moment is when, you know, the client tells us, you know, that it was a success, or just, you know, seeing whether it's the approval of a rendering or at the end of an event when they're like planning the next event with you. That's definitely my favorite part.
I think for me the favorite part is the moment right after the craziness, when you start to relax and the event has come all together. You know, you still have, you know, to cross,
strike.
Yeah, to strike. But you know, that moment, the moment after, when you know the event is rolling and it's happening, that moment. And I think one of the great things about what we do is we get to see beginning, middle, and end, and then we start all over again.
You know, I love designing, I love putting the events together, but my favorite part is actually being on site and actually constructing it and seeing what we put down on paper, you know, come to fruition.
You know, other than getting to take off my heels and, you know, have a glass of wine, I love the point in the event process when everything's crazy and 20 people need you for something, and, you know, the event's really at capacity and everybody's having a great time, and you just feel that great vibe and that great buzz, and you know that you've put together an evening where everybody's having just a great time.
It's at that little moment, you never know when it's going to happen, when the whole entire concept for the party and the design concept just clicks, and you can see it crystal clearly, and everything after that becomes simple.
My favorite moments of event process is meeting with client and actually interpreting their vision. And I never really felt that I am really a designer until I meet the client, and I'm a great interpreter. So I think that is probably my favorite moments.
I love it when you're pitching a client an idea, trying to convince them to hire you, and they feel it, they see it, and you know you've made that connection to what they imagined and that you're the right fit for them. And then my second is actually that point right after dinner's served during an event when everything is just gliding smoothly and you know it, you can feel it, and you can feel that all the guests are really enjoying their time.
My favorite moment of any event process is definitely towards the end of an evening or the end of the event itself, when you see a client approaching you and they have a big smile on their face, or they feel like £1 million have been lifted off their shoulders.
It's something that I don't get to do that much anymore, and I do actually miss. And it's the end of the event when all is said and done, it's been a success, and you're winding down and loading out. And it's that moment where you realize it's over and you bond with everybody who you've been in this crazy process with the whole time through, but haven't been able to talk personally with. So it's just sort of slumped in the kitchen. Usually you take your shoes off and put them up on like any surface and shoot the breeze with the staff people, the caterers, the waiters, whoever's cleaning up around you on a personal level. And you're just exhausted and your body's aching, but it sort of feels like when you pull an all-nighter in college.
I think my favorite moments of the event process are watching the seed get germinated and planning an event, and then seeing the host or hostess having a good time on the dance floor, enjoying their event.
Well, my favorite moment of the event process is probably the completion of it, and that is when the guests walk in. So our part is pretty well completed. We haven't begun service yet, but all the planning has happened, the menu, the design, the decor, and then the guests walk in, and that's the best moment for me. That's what I like to see.
I think the first and most amazing thing is sitting down as the first inspiration meeting, when you meet the client first to get a sense of where they're going, what they're doing, where they want to be. The next phase of it is coming back with a presentation, storyboards, pin-ups, swatches, whatever it may be, and how people ooh and ah and get excited about things, and then when they step back and have to concentrate on something that's a big piece or it's just a little. But of course the most important moment, I think, for anybody as a customer walking in the door is everything's pulled off. It's like everything is shown. It's just one of those magical moments as to walking into a celebration that takes in all your senses, whether it's the visual, it's the smell, it's everything that's out there. And it's very endearing to see all the people who've come together to build that and make it happen, and clients come up with the biggest idea out of the box and watch it happen.
I think my favorite moment is when doors open and I get to experience the guests' first view of the room or the meal. There's nothing quite like watching people come in and say, ooh, ah, and it's very rewarding when you've been working hard on something and you lose yourself in the details to see it all come together and see it come together from the guest perspective.
My favorite moment of the event process is when the music starts and the DJ, everything's in place, and there's a certain, the air conditioner, people walk in, have their first drink. That's where I'm like very pleased.
My favorite moment of the event process is the reveal. I think that after spending so many hours and days and time in producing and creating this experience for my clients, to actually be with my client for that moment that they walk into the room and experience it from the guest point of view, is extremely rewarding, and it definitely means that all the hard work that we've put into it pays off.
I think it's that first brainstorming session of hearing the client's needs, hearing what they're trying to accomplish in this event, taking what they've given us and coming up with the best possible design. And it's in that initial brainstorming that so much comes out. The parts and pieces after is the production side is all fun, but I think it's that first moment of where you decide, yeah, this is what we're going to do with this event, and here's how we're going to do it.
I love the brainstorming process when everything seems possible, and then I love to pull off the impossible.
The live production, the 2 or 3 hours of when it's all going off, and it's like 300 people on radios and live and direct.
I like to create what's called stunts, or to wow people. So you're always looking for that one idea. So when people walk into an event, they go, wow, and that one moment that they're never going to forget, something they're going to talk about for weeks to come or months to come. And I like it when you have that one idea that you just know people are going to go crazy for, and maybe like the 10 minutes before that happens. So that's when you get that adrenaline rush.
I think the reveal would duel with the moment after leaving a client that you totally connect with, and you totally connect with their vision, and yet you're going to bring their vision to a place that they can't even imagine. And I think the other piece to that is revealing it to them.
My first favorite moment is in the ideation stage, and that's when we really get to tap into our creativity and think about what it's going to look like, feel like, what are the interactive elements, what are the walls, what's everything. And that's my first favorite part. The second favorite part, and I'm sure every event professional will agree, is when it all comes together. And there we are, we literally see the walls go up and the lights come on and the music comes on, and everything that we've rendered and storyboarded and design decked out all comes to life. That's an amazing moment. It's kind of like our, And third is when you look over at your client and they're smiling and their boss is smiling.
My favorite moment in the event process is probably about 5 minutes before the event starts, when everything's finally been finished and it comes together.
Oh, my favorite moment of the event process is when the event is actually happening, because I can take a step back and I can look at everything that's going on. I can see all the attendees, all the guests. I can see all the people who've made it happen, all the vendors, and everybody coming together and being able to take a breath and saying, we're in the moment and there's no turning back.
I have 2 favorite moments of the event process. I love the brainstorm session at the beginning, the early part where we can all kind of dream and come up with ideas before we get brought down to reality, budgets and things like that. But I really enjoy just really sitting around and creating actually a lot of times I enjoy these processes in my studio because I can bring things out. I'm very hands-on. I also like the actual setup. I mean, there's nothing like being in a show on a show day. Just all the equipment, all the people, everything rolling in is really exciting.
My favorite moment is when I see it complete. We've gone through all the renderings, the design, and then we've been in the warehouse creating it and putting it together, and then the best part is when the client comes up to you and says, it looks exactly like the rendering.